tracks north. Massachusetts tracks left. I'm Michael Toscano. Gordon won't be a tropical storm much longer as it moves through southeast Mississippi this morning. Meteorologist Jennifer Gray tells us Gordon should weaken.
The storm is still tracking to the north, moving at about 14 miles.
I know you guys thought I had left the studio. No, I was here. I had a couple of technical issues I had to deal with right there and there. Anyway, good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful morning. A little rain coming down, but that's okay. With what raining, you be complaining about that. When it gets cold, we're going to be complaining about the cold. When it's hot, we complain about the heat. So just take each day one step at a time. Don't forget, our show's been brought to you in part by Chris Stallworth of State Farm Insurance. For all your insurance needs, give that man a call right now. He's at the office, 277-9789. If he's not there, just leave him a message. He'll call you back as soon as he gets in. Okay, I promise. Taylor Internal Medicine of Montgomery, Adult Healthcare Clinic. If you're an older person and you got a problem with sugar, we call that diabetes. You have a problem with gout. Don't know what it is, but I heard about it. Something with your big toe or something like that. Arthritis, whatever internal issues you have, Dr. Bruce Taylor is there to help take care of you along with his nurse practitioner, Mr. Hamlet. They will take care of all of those issues for you. Don't suffer by yourself. Let them go help you. So give them a call, 662-3140, 662-3140, located 4725B Mobile Highway. Okay? So give them a call right now, 662-3140. Now, I'm going to surprise some people this morning with a I actually agree with something that Nike did. And people are going to say, I actually agree. Now, I don't agree with them kneeling doing the flag. But I must admit, to be intellectually honest, I don't have a problem with them making Kaepernick the face of Nike for the time being. Because what is Nike's motto? Do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't have to agree with you. Right. On what you do, but listen, he stood up for what he thought was right.
Sacrifice everything.
Right, he sacrificed. He got a little money in the bank, but he sacrificed more. He could have got more. Yeah. And I don't have a problem with that. You know, right. Just because if you're going to be intellectually honest,
stand up for something.
Right, stand up for something. Now I don't know.
Now whether people agree with you or not, and take the punishment for what happens.
Take what goes on with. So I don't have a problem.
And that's civil disobedience.
Right, and I don't have a problem with them.
No. That's the American way.
That's what because had it not been for a lot of folks standing up at the Boston Tea Party, all the rest of that stuff, right. We'll still be subject. Well, they would still be subject to Britain, right. To the UK. So I don't know why everybody's making. I mean, the guy's got a right to make a living. You know, yeah. I just don't like the kneeling thing. But listen, that's just my personal thing.
There are people who disagree with that, but right. But it's been blown out of proportion in a direction for people's needs and what they believe. Yeah. But he made it very clear what he was doing.
Yeah.
Now, anyone who came after him, I can't say, but we can clearly say why he knelt, when he started kneeling, and what he was kneeling for. And now he clearly stated that.
Right. I mean,
now whether you thought it was inappropriate or not, but he said, "Well, what other time than that time when people's attention will be? You are at attention. All the rest of the time you're yelling and screaming."
Yeah. So
that was his reason for doing it at that time.
You know, I applaud Nike.
Right.
You know, I just don't have a problem with a guy standing there for what he believes.
Right, and a lot of people do.
And I don't have to agree with what you believe, but I got a lot of admiration for people who stand for what they believe.
But it was very effective because the NFL has admitted they need to have a conversation about what he was talking about.
They do, but I don't think
let's not get too far in the thing about disrespecting the troops. That other people carried it that way. So let's talk about the conversation. It's just like today.
Yeah.
We need to have a conversation about what happened.
Yeah.
We need to have a conversation.
We do.
Now, whether you agree with the way it happened or not, We have to have that conversation.
Right.
So we're guilty of that in Montgomery also.
Yeah, and we are. We are. Let's go to the phone, see who's there. Good morning. Who's this?
Oh. Morning, Elkman.
Morning.
Good morning, Don.
Good morning, sir.
All right. It's Boogie right here, Kevin.
Yeah,
Kevin,
I know.
You know, I was going to needle you a little bit about that, but you know what? You shocked me today because when this thing first went down with Nike, the first thing I thought about, one of the first questions you would ask every candidate, even if it meant you standing alone, would you take a stand?
And I could not be right. I could not be this intellectually honest, and because I didn't like what he did, not give him credit for doing what he thought he had to do.
And I thought about you, Kevin, and like Donald said, there's going to be many who disagree. They're going to get way out there, and I'm with Donald. You know, it's been talked about ad nauseum how that came about. Okay? Yeah. But, Kevin, you and Donald are two of the smartest people I know, okay? Boogie Ray elevator only goes so high. So maybe y'all can help me. Okay?
Yeah, let me hear this.
Okay.
Is it really a boycott if I've already paid for a pair of Nikes to cut them up or burn them?
No, it's not a boycott.
No, it's not.
It's stupidity.
That's what it's called. Thank you, too. All right.
It's stupidity. You done paid $200-$300 for a shoe, and you gonna tear them up? Nike already got your money. You know.
Yeah, that sale's been made.
Yeah, donate. Matter if you don't want them, donate them to somebody who need them.
Yeah.
You know. Good morning on air.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, that's interesting. Your take on Kaepernick's Nike thing. First of all, I must say it's a great slogan.
Just do it.
Don't you think it's a great slogan?
Yes.
Not to just do it. I mean, take a stand. If it costs you there are not a lot of people that you talk to or I talk to that's willing to take a stand if it costs them everything.
Right. If it costs them everything.
Some of us, if it costs us a little, what we consider a little too much, we won't take a stand.
Yeah.
But yet, we, the same people that don't take the stand, we will criticize out of the person that takes a stand. Well, what's that about?
Well, I'm with you.
Anything about us?
And I would have been the biggest hypocrite in Montgomery had I not agreed with Nike. You know, that's what life. And how often have I said it? You know, I'm gonna believe what I believe, no matter what you think of it. And there are people who totally disagree with me, like you do sometimes. But you know, I'm right.
But here's the thing: you may not always be right, but you're never wrong. But here's the thing: when it comes to something like that, you know, evidence would indicate there's a lot of truth in it. Now I know the truth sometimes is a scary thing, especially when it's not favorable. You know, it's kind of like if you go to the physician and he diagnoses with some kind of terminal disease. It's a scary thing, but it's better to know the truth.
But let me ask you a question, and I want if you can be honest with me here. NFL football, 70% of the NFL are black folks. Okay, the players, 70%. It would seem to me that same motivation, that same energy that you put into the police shooting, that you could take your notoriety and also address the shooting of us shooting each other. And we keep saying that's a different conversation. I don't get that part. Dead is dead. And matter of fact, they said that 40 black folks are shot by black folks, compared to out of 40 to 1 every time a police shoots somebody.
Yeah.
It's wrong. It's wrong either way. But since the NFL is 70% black, why won't they? If they're going to be intellectually honest, why won't they deal with that issue?
Because it's a totally different issue.
See, that's what you keep saying.
Because you're talking about an institution. It's an institution.
I had a great answer for you.
Yeah.
I wish I had a great answer for you, but I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a gun advocate. I'm not a big gun advocate. I'm not willing to give up everything to have a gun. Let me say that. But criminal with a gun and an honest person with a gun, or a person that's not a criminal, they're not the same people. But here's the thing with a police shooting. I'm not looking for the police to shoot me. I'm looking for the police to protect me. Now, a thug, a gangster, a crook, a robber, I don't care what color he is, but a lot of blacks, and it's tragic. But I'm not expecting the same reasoning from a criminal as I am from a law enforcement that's really not supposed to just shoot me at random. but here now I'm not allowed to say anything about it because some people think, well, black people are killing black. It's kind of like that word we've affectionately titled the N-word. Well,
that we can use it, but nobody else can. I just.
Well, black people use the N-word. Why do you use it?
I'm with them. I'm with them.
But here's the thing that I wish I had a great answer. But we are individuals at some point,
Mm-hmm. Well, I hear you, my brother.
It wasn't so much killing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
But
I got to run, brother. Appreciate your call. I got to go downstairs and get my guest. So let's talk to. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing today?
Fine.
Fine. How are you?
Doing wonderful. If you got to go, I don't know how much time you got left. Let me.
Y'all keep having the conversation while I run down here and get this. Let this guy in. So y'all keep talking.
I'm here. We can debate while he's gone. He's walked away for a little bit. That's okay. We here.
I agree. He stood up for what he believed. Talk about Kaepernick, but
when you say "but," that takes it in another direction.
Well, I say look at the entire picture of the entire process. I agree with what you said as far as this is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. He made that clear.
Right.
But if you stand back and look at the big picture, he is not in the NFL because he backed out of his last year of his contract. He was given an extension, and he felt that he could make more money by backing out of that last year and entering the free market agency afterwards.
Okay, that's one issue, but what I was saying, Bud, is that it was blown out of proportion, and you may disagree or agree, when the president carried it to another level and brought those who had that negative view. See, it starts at the top. If the president had either stayed out of it or said that maybe we need to have a conversation, if he had been more positive, then the whole situation, it's not exactly his contract that he had with the team. It is about the whole situation. That's what we're talking about here. And that's what it has come to.
And I agree, have the conversation.
Right.
But let's also understand that Kaepernick is not in the NFL playing right now because of a lot of the decisions that he made. Let's also remember
that can be debated also. There can be some reasons why he's not with another team because he became a controversial figure, and specifically because of that action. That's where he became a controversy. If he wasn't a controversial figure, I do believe, and you may disagree, that he would be on an NFL team today. But the controversy, because we're talking about a business, that business does not want the baggage.
Do you know he was offered a contract with the Baltimore Ravens?
Well, there were several rumors. I don't know exactly what contract he's been offered because there are several rumors of contracts.
He was offered a contract with the Baltimore Ravens, but his girlfriend called the owner of the Baltimore Ravens a slave, a slave owner, and Ray Lewis a house Negro, but of course she didn't say house Negro.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray Lewis came out and said, we had a contract, but now they've withdrawn it because of you running your mouth, talking about Kaepernick's girlfriend.
Okay, so what does that have to do with him throwing the ball?
Well, again, an owner does not want a distraction in the locker room. Just like there was Sam Houston, who came out and was the first openly gay football player in the NFL from the University of Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Cowboys drafted him and everything, but they ended up cutting him because, again, if you're out here trying to play and win a Super Bowl, you want the entire team to be a cohesive unit. And, again, I think Kaepernick came out. He had the right reason, what he wanted to do. After the first year, when he did not get a free agent contract, he actually stated, and it was in Sports Illustrated, I promise I will not take a knee this next year if I'm signed. I mean, he had made a statement. He put the focus of society on that. But as exactly what you're saying, he had become such a lightning rod. No owner wants a lightning rod out of the 54 players on that team when they take the team. And the owner's got to look at a lot of things in that regards.
Yeah, and, like I said, we could debate on that back and forth, but I think when you look at the total picture, the reason he is controversial now is not because of what his girlfriend said, not because of the Ravens, but because of the attention that was brought about his action of taking a knee. Now, that's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
If you really get down to it. Now, we can debate about the particulars. If we can debate about particulars if we want to, but if you really want to, the bottom line, he took a stand, and he paid for taking that stand.
Okay. Anyway, I'm back. Okay. Hey, I hope you had a great
Thank you,
conversation.
gentlemen.
All right. Appreciate it. I appreciate you holding on to that for me. I got to take a break. We'll be back. I'm waiting for Bernard Whitehurst to get up here. He's at the wrong building. So now he's at the right building, I think. So we'll be back.
At West Cook's Tire and Auto, your Michelin tires always bring together amazing technology and expert technicians. But today, a set of 4 new Michelin brand passenger or light truck tires.
Midtown Plaza. It's on Ann Street off of I-85 of McClinton and Company Development. Buckle up. It's the law. For Montgomery Skywatch Traffic, this is Major Delay.
We're not even gonna go there. We're not gonna ask you if you know who this is and nothing like that, because I know you don't have a clue. Good morning, everybody. We are back in the studio with us right now is Mr. Bernard Whitehurst III. Let me get into this other call here. We're gonna talk about a couple of things about what happened and where he's at and how his life's been changed and what are the plans for the future. Good morning, on air.
Good morning, Kevin. How you doing?
Fine.
Peace and blessings to you and to Mr. Whitehurst as well, and to the entire listening audience, and happy Wednesday to you all as well. I want to start by, I saw Miss Daisy yesterday while I was at City Hall for the City Council meeting, and she was telling me that she was just coming back from the Arlington National Cemetery, burying her son there, and we were saying some of my favorite prayers and meditations together. And we did 2 of them, and we had one other one, Miss Daisy, that I wanted to share with you that comes right out of the Bible from the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verse 24 through 26. And it simply says, "May the Lord bless us and keep us. May the Lord shine his face upon us. May the Lord be gracious unto us. May the Lord lift up his countenance unto us. May the Lord give us peace and the kind of peace.
I got you, brother. I got you.
I got you.
I'm with you.
Amen. That's the whole scripture, Kevin.
Okay.
Peace and blessings to everyone. And Ms. Daisy, I hope you heard that. I hope those words will be words of encouragement for you throughout the day.
Hey, one more question before you go. You actually believe in the Bible?
Of course I do, Kevin. I'm the grandson, the great-grandson.
No, I'm with you. Okay, I'm
all that was instilled in me from my early.
I'm with you. You just forget. Okay. I shouldn't ask the question. I apologize. Okay, I'm just saying you just forgot about that part. I know you just forgot about that part about man and woman. That's the only part you forgot about. I ain't mad at you though. Yeah, brother. See you later. I gotta go. I just can't do it no more. Anyway, good morning, Bernard. Good morning. Come on closer now. You act like it's a woman you're hollering at or something. Okay, now talking that microphone right there, so we can get to and speak up now. Like I know you got it set, so come on now. Let's speak up. So now try that good morning one more time.
Good morning.
All right, there you go. That's what we like to hear. You are the son of Bernard Whitehurst. Was he a second? Because you got the third. And I believe it was December the 8th? You know what day it was?
December the 2nd.
December the 2nd, 1975. There was a tragedy in Montgomery. And that tragedy was your father was killed by the Montgomery Police Department under the guise of they thought that he was a robbery suspect, even though, from my understanding, the description of the perpetrator was in no way represented by your dad. That's what I understand.
That's correct.
43 years ago. Matter of fact, you had to be
2 months old.
2 months old. So you never had an opportunity to see your dad.
No, sir.
since that time, as a matter of fact, I'm going to give some credit to Chief Murphy, former Police Chief Murphy. You didn't know? Do you know until Chief Murphy went to your mother's house a few years ago? Did you know nobody from Montgomery Police Department had ever been out to the house?
That's correct. No one ever had been to her house
at
all.
How can that happen? Anyway, since then, I found the reporter named Myra McPherson who wrote the story. She said that will always be Montgomery's Watergate because we know something happened that was wrong. We know it was. I mean, Ray Charles could see this, and he can't see for a long time. He knew this. Tell us a little bit about how this has affected you over the years, your family, your mom. You got another brother named Stacy, and I believe you got a sister too.
Two sisters.
I haven't had an opportunity to meet them. Justice has certainly not been done in this case. What does Bernard Whitehurst III want to happen? What's been going on for the last 43 years for you? How have you dealt with this?
It's a hard situation to deal with, but throughout the years with a lot of praying and everything, I had overcome the hatred that I had at one time. You know, as you grow, you get wiser, and I look at the situation a little bit different now, and it hurts to see that 43 years later, this situation still occurs on and on and on and on, and it's got to come to a point that it needs to stop. How it gonna stop? I don't know, but it affected my family very badly. I mean, we were separated. You know, my sister and brothers, we grew up, you know, just with a lot of anger. And as we got older, now we started to realize, you know, that you can't hold that hate in your heart towards the person that do wrong. But at the same time, the city has to start doing stuff that, you know, to try to make things a little bit better towards this police killing.
You tell us. Well, let me take this break. I want you to tell us what we don't know. What it is that you understood what happened on that fateful night in December 2nd, 1975. We'll be right back after this.
It's time to gather the whole family and come aboard the Harriet II. Experience a Friday night tradition in Montgomery, the Harriet II Dinner Cruise. Featuring a family-friendly dinner menu, cash bar, and live entertainment with dancing. It's the perfect way to start your weekend.
And my daughter is going to do in her life, including turning 17.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
Eight 860-1440 is the number here. I guess this morning it's Mr. Bernard Whitehurst III. Tell us, what do you know? What do they say happened? And on that, you didn't know anything about that, so you going on what people saying to you. I'm sure your mother has told you, but there's still a lot of things unsaid. Tell us a little bit about what you know happened that night.
Well, what I know happened is that it was a robbery at a store that had taken place, and my dad was in the area, and at the time the robbery took place, the guy gave a description of the guy, and when my dad seen the police, which he was always afraid of the police anyway, and he took off running. And from my understanding, when he took off running, the police ran behind him, and you know.
Why would he? Did anybody tell you why he had a fear of the police?
That's something I never. My mom. That's something I never knew. You know, it never got into details of why, but I'm sure it was some.
Well, I can share because I knew him, and there was a case where the police. You know, your father was a very hard-working man. He worked downtown and everything, and around different places. And the police knew him, and he was one of those. Back during the day, there were people that the police knew. If they just say, "Hey, boy, run." And he was one of them. I mean, he was just a nice, mild-mannered guy that the police, for laughs, would just make him run. And that's true. And that happened to a lot of different people. Your father was not the only one. There were a lot of black guys during that time that when the police would see him walk, usually they worked around downtown and everyone knew them. And they say, "Hey, boy, and then they just run, just to see them run. Then they just laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what, as a matter of fact, your father broke his arm one time running from the police. I remember that very, very distinctly. And then to hear that the police shot him. So you can go. And I just had to share that because I personally knew him, and we personally knew what the police would do to him.
Mm-hmm. So it was normal for him to run. And I was told that when he took out running, the police ran behind him, and several police officers got on the scene, and he ran up under the house, and they just started shooting. And the quote unquote word was when they found out that they shot him and he was deceased, they shot the wrong person.
Well, they didn't use person.
They didn't use person.
I know what they use.
Yeah.
I've talked to the mayor on this issue many occasions, and I like the mayor, that's my buddy, but we certainly disagree on this. I think there's no justice that's ever been to your family, but we've had numerous city council members come into office in the last 43 years. Has anybody ever, I know Terrence Dawson brought this up once or twice, but has there ever been an attempt made to and you can't undo what happened 43 years ago. All you can do is give a pittance, a symbol of that we're sorry. Has anybody ever said from the city said we sorry that happened?
No.
I mean, okay. At the time, the police chief was who? You know who the police chief?
I forget his name.
Okay, I know the mayor was Robinson.
Yeah,
who
Robinson.
Evidently, he quit.
He resigned.
He resigned his office.
Emery Farmer was the president of council, so he became the mayor.
He became the mayor. Mm-hmm. Did you ever have an opportunity to talk to Emery Farmer about this?
No, sir. Not at all. Todd Scranton is, to be honest, Todd Scranton is the only person that ever, held a conversation with us about it.
Mm-hmm. What does Bernard Whitehurst III want to happen?
Well, one thing I want to happen is we have a book coming out in October.
And the name of the book is?
Closed Ranks.
And that's what they did.
And the main thing, I just want my dad's story to be told. Let people know what's been going on. That what's going on now been going on years ago. Unfortunately now they have social media now that you can actually see what's going on versus back in those days it wasn't no social media. It was a lot of stuff that was nobody knew or nothing about. And so I just want the story to be told, because it's something that needs to be told, especially when you're dealing with a gun being planted, police officers lying, the mayor resigning, it's just corrupt.
Is it my understanding that absolutely no one has been held accountable for this? Is that my understanding?
Yes, that's correct. No one has been held accountable.
And even though we know that there was a gun taken from
the evidence room,
and nobody has ever been held accountable.
No.
Almost like it didn't happen.
Exactly.
Now, here's one of the problems that I have. I have gone through to some notable local politicians. Some who were actually on the city council at the time that told me they can't remember this.
Yes.
Now, listen, I've heard some. I believe in fairy tales. I mean, I don't believe in them, but I believe people tell them. There is nobody that was alive in Montgomery and lived in Montgomery in 1975 that could forget what happened. Why do you believe that even today, some of the people you want to talk to about this won't return a call? If they do return a call, it's just paying lip service to it. Nobody in the power that was in power has actually ever tried to assist you guys in some sort of recompense for what happened. I talk to your mother sometimes. What's your feeling on that? I mean, are we scared to tell people what happened? Or?
I think that's the number one thing. They're afraid.
But it's 43 years ago.
They're afraid. Either they done something they had no business doing, and the city has something on them, or we don't know. But they're afraid. They really are. But, you know, you had to look at stuff like this. Nobody don't really care unless it's happened to their
them.
family.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will never understand unless it happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people will speak on stuff, but unless it happened to them, they'll never understand it.
Well, like they say, if it happens to you, it's an inconvenience. If it happens to them, it's a tragedy.
Thank you.
And
that's correct.
I understand that. There's somebody's writing a book about this, long time in the making, and that book will be out in October.
Yeah, that's correct.
Next month.
As
a matter of fact. And the name of the book is?
Closed Ranks.
Closed Ranks. And I assume they're going to do their best to tell the story.
Yes.
Of that terrible day. Let's go to the phone for a second. Good morning, on air.
Good morning, Kevin.
Morning.
Donna and Brother Whitehurst. How you doing?
All right.
Reverend Frankie here. Donna, wasn't the guy named Ed something? The chief of police?
May have. Now that I do forget.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Ed Wright. Yeah, Ed Wright.
Right. Yeah,
Ed Wright. That was the chief, Ed Wright. But I was listening to you. This would really bother me. And I talk to your mama from time to time, and I talk to Stacy all the time. We good friends. I don't understand when I talk to you, you was in another city at the time, why y'all hadn't been to Africa for your father. I don't understand. A lot of people, and I know some close people to me, that their kids have been killed by the police, but they won't fight. And I don't understand that. And people can't even get upset at me because I believe in human rights. And so you're talking to the guy about the football player. They don't understand that. But the Sheehan lady, I goes down to the Department of Parole Board. Her daughter got killed some year, 30 or 40 years ago. I don't know what some black guy did. But, you know, every time we go down to that Department of Parole Board, she over there with the Attorney General, she over there with the governor people, she over there with the DA, fighting to keep guys that did murder or something. I don't care what they have done and how many paperwork they have gotten. She there fighting against them. And I can't understand why we don't do that. Why don't we have an organization with all the people that have been killed by police officers? Why don't y'all have an organization and do something about it? Make sure laws and things like she do and like others. You know, I understand what you're saying, but I don't understand why black folks don't do that. And maybe you can tell me. They not. Some of them afraid, but they're not afraid to attack me. They're not afraid to attack you. But why don't they do something about this? Because justice should be done for this. I don't know, did I know your father or not? I was here in 75 because I came home in 72. Now, I may have known your father. I may have crossed his path, but I was just back home because I had left when I was 15. So I was a kid, so a lot of people grew up. But you're right, Donald, I'll say this and get off. I knew a lot of people. They was afraid of the police, and that's right, because we couldn't walk, and I tell people this all the time, Kevin. We couldn't walk down the Mobile Highway, down to Gill Village, all through there, and come on down the Haven. We could not walk down there coming home at night. The police would stop us and beat us and mistreat us for no reason at all. We was just young kids, 12, 13 years old, you know, going out, and we was headed home. You could do that then, Kevin. And so we had to go out other ways to get home. So that's why your father, these other people run. They killed a friend of mine that I grew up with. He even running. They shot him in the back. So this is nothing new. But I don't understand why the people out here won't have a effing group like what that lady was named, Donald, her son not Jeremiah Reed, but Emmett Till. That's why the cold case deal was done by his mama. She never gave up. She fought the way they killed her son. And I think people like you and other people that children have been murdered all together and have a strong organization like these other people, because a lot of times that's how they came out of events like this. Okay, Kevin, y'all have a good day.
Okay, appreciate it. You know, again, the police department today is not the police department of the past. We still got issues, but anytime you have human interaction, you're going to have differences between people. But we're talking back in 1970. Matter of fact, I was joining the Army on that day. I was headed to Fort Dix, New Jersey. 18 years old, didn't know jack. Thought I knew everything though. What does Bernard Whitehouse? Well, we don't have time. When we come back, tell us what you want from the city of Montgomery. Even though it doesn't seem like it is going to happen, but again, miracles do happen. But let's talk about what you want and talk about some of the issues that you had to deal with in your life because you were hurt. Your dad wasn't there to help you. I mean, it's enough of us walking away rather than somebody take somebody's father with somebody who's working hard for what I understand and taking care of his kids. Tell us what happened, some of the things that happened to you after we come back because of that terrible day in December 1975, and we'll be back.
Now, your WSFA 12 News Update on News Radio 1440.
Good morning. I'm Tanya Terry in the newsroom. The Montgomery City Council has approved a more than $252 million budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The City Council approved some changes to the original proposal before voting on the current plan. Among those changes, additional garbage fees to keep pickup to 2 days per week after complaints over a proposition to have pickup reduced to 1 day a week. New this morning, state troopers tell us there were 4 traffic-related deaths over the Labor Day weekend. The deadly crashes happened in Baldwin, Barber, Colbert, and St. Clair counties. Troopers say of those killed, 1 was a passenger, 2 were drivers, and 1 was a bicyclist. And in international news this morning, about 3,000 passengers stranded by a typhoon overnight at an offshore jet.
And good morning, everybody. I'm Kevin Elkins, and this is News Radio 1440. Don't forget, coming up Friday, Walt Maddox will be in the house to talk about this debate, which is really not a debate that we're trying to get going on. It's like a conversation. It's not really. It's like a forum. It's not a. I haven't seen a debate since Lincoln and Douglas, and I wouldn't even hear then. So what does that mean? I haven't really seen one. Good morning. Our guest this morning is Bernard Whitehurst III. We were talking about what happened on that fateful day, December the 2nd, 1975. When his father was taken away from us. Somebody sent me a text and said that 9 police were fired. I guess they call that punishment.
They probably got a job at another police force.
Right. He lost his life, and they lost their job.
Yeah, they lost their job.
That somehow that doesn't seem to.
Yeah, they were fired.
To equal. You had, as you were coming up, you had some issues. And now I don't know if some of those issues were just growing up or of course, if your dad had been there, we would have known which issue would cause some of the issues. But tell us a little bit about what it was like for you coming up without your father.
It was rough because, you look at coming from where I came from, you look at some parents, some kids had their mom and dad. And for like 9 years, I never knew what happened to my dad until my mom, I found out that he was killed by the police. Because at one time, when I was coming up, I did want to be a police until I found that out. And once I found out that he was killed by the police, it drew a lot of hatred, it drew a lot of hatred towards white people. I didn't like, I'm just being honest, I would despise them, because you got to look at, not only did they kill him, they tried to act like they didn't do it and try to cover it up. If you kill someone, okay, we killed this guy. But then they turn around and try to go and get a gun and plant it on them and try to cover up. So that's one of my things that always been in my, it was like a hole in my heart that, okay, they killed them. But at the same time, they try to act like they didn't and cover it up. And I was like, well, I don't like police. And I always stuck in my head, I hate them. And they're just being honest, but as I got older, I started, looking at stuff a little bit different, saying that, everybody's, you can't hate everyone. Just can't hate all police officers because of one mistake that one.
One of the things that has absolutely stupefied me about this whole entire case, everybody knows what happened. How in God's name did we lose in court?
I mean, you can't win when you got everybody racist. I mean, that's just being honest. For what I was told, I don't know. I was young. What I was told.
And your attorney was Mr. Watson.
Ms. Donald Watkins.
Donald Watkins. Have you been in communication with him over the years?
Yes. I actually went to Atlanta and sat down and had a talk with him. And from time to time, we'll text or talk over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I met him in 2014 for the first time, and I drove to Atlanta, and we sat and had a conversation. And he was young, and at one time I didn't like him.
I don't blame you.
But sitting down and holding the conversation with him, the Donald Watkins today, he'll eat him alive. But he was young then. At the time, he was young and he made mistakes. But if he can do it all over again, I think.
Did anybody ever tell you what the judge said? One of the reasons why they lost the case. Anybody ever tell you what he said?
No.
Yeah, he said a dead man has no rights. They didn't see it was a civil suit that his rights were violated, and that's what the lawyer was stating, that his civil rights were violated. And the judge said when they placed that gun on him, he was dead, so he didn't violate his civil rights. Can't violate the rights of a dead man. So that was stupefying us. That it was so technical, the way the judge framed it.
He was trying to find any way out of it.
And anyone with any common sense, the reason he was dead is because you violated his civil rights.
Right, but we don't know if he was dead or not.
Well,
I mean, we don't know. But anyway, you never heard that before?
I heard something similar to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that was Judge Fuller. He was no longer on the bench.
I knew the judge. They say the judge was very racist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anyway, what would you like? And there's a book coming out next month. Who's the writer of the book? Do you know?
Foster Dixon. He's a local guy from here, from Montgomery.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
I never had an opportunity to talk to him. And it's going to be on sale. We're going to try to tell the story. Have you had an opportunity to sit down with the mayor, the current mayor?
A few years ago.
A few years ago, and
not recently. Time recently.
What in a perfect world? What would you like to see happen? I mean, I know they put a little historical marker like that. That helps you. I mean, okay, that helps you. They don't break.
There's about 20 in my neighborhood.
Yeah, I got you. What do you want to happen in a perfect world if Bernard Whitehurst III could wave a magic wand and say, do this? It will not satisfy me, but we'll take it. What would you want to happen?
Compensation from the city of Montgomery. And, and the reason being, people don't understand, first thing nowadays, they say that the black family don't have the dads in their household. Well, mine was taken away from me by the city.
The same people who are complaining that you don't have black dads in the home.
Exactly. So when it's a lot of what ifs in my life. What if my dad were here? What if, you never know. I might not never got in trouble. You never know. So, my mom maybe never struggled the way she did, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, so with that being said, I would like the city to do, what's right. Especially now, you sit back and look at what goes on now. Some of the people, police in these different states, these bigger states, they kill the person, and the family end up getting a substantial amount something
for it.
Versus with our situation, he was killed, gun planted, the mayor resigned, public safety director resigned, police officer losing their job, the family gets nothing. And then you have a lot of people that's out here as of today, right now, thinking it's okay. Well, why they waited so long? Sometimes, everything has to happen through timing. People, you be wanting to do stuff, but
because this is not going away.
It's not.
Every few years, this comes up.
Exactly.
The city this is a dark cloud that's hanging over Montgomery, like the clouds outside right now. They need to do something
But, you know, first thing a lot of people I hear a lot, why y'all waited so long? For one, me and my brothers and sisters, they was 3 and 4 and I was 2 months old. And growing up, you know, when you don't know nothing, you had to learn, and you have people that you want to reach out to, and they tell you, well, we'll help you, and then when you reach out to them, they're nowhere around. So everything's, you know, you had to learn on your own, and as time go by, years and years go by. But one thing I can say is this is, you know, me and my brother, we came together the last 4 or 5 years, and we're not going to let this go, you know, until something happened that they're going to satisfy us.
You know, and again, I've asked some local about, and I went to one guy who I know is on the city council, which is Joe Reed. Joe Reed says, and I'm going to be out there now, he said he didn't remember this.
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, he told me that. He said, I don't remember that. Now, how you can forget that, I don't know.
You know, I think this is something that's wrong in Montgomery, and there's a statement that we say in church, if you go to church, a Catholic church, every time you go, you have to have a mea culpa. A mea culpa is stating in Latin, my mistake, my fault. I confess to Almighty God and to you, my brothers and sisters, that I have greatly sinned in my thoughts, in my words, in what I have done, and what I have failed to do, through my fault, through my own fault, through my own most grievous thought. That is a mea culpa, mea maximus culpa. That really means something. When you are sorry for something, and then you have to have restitution that you pay for what you have done. Now that is, you know, I don't know about the family, but there are those of us in Montgomery, I'm one of the very few who will say it publicly on the airwaves and then privately to family members and to others. The city of Montgomery will not be clear. Its conscience will not be clear.
No, it won't. Never.
Until we say, those who are out there, my conservative friends, I don't care if you're racist, but you have to agree that the city of Montgomery is guilty through their fault, through their own fault, what they have done and what they have failed to do. Now, that is just the fact of the matter.
Let me ask you a question. At the time of this incident, was not Donald Watkins on the city council?
No. Not at that time.
No, he wasn't.
It was after.
Okay, so he was on after.
Yeah, he ran after. No, okay. because when he defended me, he wasn't on the city council. That was in 78.
Okay, what I can't understand, though, is how come the city has never been taken to court? We went to the federal court because it was a violation of civil rights is what they were charged.
There was never a criminal charge.
No.
The DA chose not to have a criminal charge.
Who was the DA then? Anybody know?
Was that Jimmy Evans at the time?
Yeah.
May have been.
Jimmy Evans.
Yeah, I think it was Jimmy Evans.
That's who it was.
Okay.
And all of that will come out in a book form to show that they just stuck together. The blue line or whatever they call it, they just stuck together. I mean, there are police who call today on this show who can justify wrong and say, well, the law was at the time. No. Even the law of the time, that was unjustified. There was no reason. If you put a gun on someone, that means you know you've done something wrong. To prove that you did something right, you put a gun on them. So I can't accept that, and I hope if people get angry for that, I'm sorry. I can't accept justifying wrong.
Well, this book is going to certainly bring light to this again. Good morning.
Mr. Elkins,
yes.
Good morning to your guests. You know, I don't mean to sound negative at all, but, you know, all this talking about this case, why is it now, just like Reverend Sanker said, how come a person will try to organize something and y'all get together and try to do something about this? Talking is fine, but performance is the key.
Because people in Montgomery, the people who were in charge at the time, a bunch of them who are still here, they will not touch this with a 10-foot pole. I went to some of the people. Finally, I got Joe Hubbard to acknowledge. Because he had been ridden out of his district, so he was willing to invest a little political capital because he didn't have any left. He mentioned it, but people in this, a lot of folks in this city especially black prominent people, got their comeuppance in the 1970s, in the early 80s, I guess because they didn't speak about this.
Well, they can start speaking now about it because it's still on the table.
They won't.
It doesn't make any sense. I have never seen a group of folks, and like I said, all these educated folks around here, and just don't do nothing. Just allow any old thing. What's wrong with you folks?
Well, again, I went to Joe Reed, who was on the city council at the time, said he didn't remember it. So
I tell you, it just don't make no
sense. I don't know how you.
And one more thing, I'm gonna let you go, and don't get upset with your second mama.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the reply, the statement you made to Mr. DeVos, that wasn't really necessary. You shouldn't have. You need to apologize.
Well, now he bringing up the Bible all the time, but he don't believe it.
Yeah, now wait a minute. Now maybe some folks feel the same way about you.
Yeah, but they know I be sinning.
Yeah,
I don't profess to be perfect.
Amen.
I'm trying to work it on them things, but
you're working on it.
Yeah,
you're working on your sins. Yeah. Okay, I agree with you.
And the difference between me and DeVoe is that I don't call wrong right.
There you go.
Okay, that's the only problem.
We're in agreement there.
Yeah. Good morning, caller. You on air?
Good morning.
Yes.
You asked why people don't speak up now, Miss Daisy. People have children. Political leaders have children that has political aspiration at this time in this city. You know, like people, when they keep telling y'all about people's family members inherit the throne of politics. Well, those same people got children that are in political office that have a higher aspiration, and they have no need to speak up for those issues.
Yeah, but I think my mom used to say every tub sets on its own bottom.
Yes. But every tub has a political aspiration that you don't see 5 years down the road that they do see, and they're not going to jeopardize their future.
Well, we're talking about something that happened 43 years ago when some of these folks...
still say these are political dynasties, children that are profiting now on the political whims of the civil rights movement, and they are in a status level now that they have made it, and the poor man that's still down there has to come along.
So we got, and again, I'm only making an observation here.
And I don't have to call names because you know who I'm talking about, the political dynasties.
Okay. Well, we can have that conversation later on, but I will say a point of hypocrisy here. We said that it's okay for the EJI to put their memorial downtown because it shows.
Well, that's money.
Right,
they spent their money.
Right, but
if someone tells you I'm going to spend $20 million in your city, what are you going to say? No.
And again, I understand that part.
That's money
because they thought it was important.
No, they thought it was money.
They thought it was money.
It has nothing to do.
About money?
They didn't think it was important. As a matter of fact, there were a lot of people who were against it, who are now for it because they can put businesses around that. Okay, that's about money. That has nothing to do. That is one of the most visited sites in the state of Alabama now. It is internationally known, and it is making millions of dollars, and other people related to the area are going to make millions of dollars. So they don't care about your justice.
So it's not, okay, so it's not about.
And the money didn't come from Alabama anyway.
Right, it's not about justice.
It's not about justice.
Okay. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Bernard Whitehurst III is with us. Book's coming out. The name of the book again is?
Closed Ranks.
Now, it isn't being published right now, is it?
It go to the press the end of this month.
Okay. Let's take a break. We'll come back right after this.
Hello, I'm Ben McNeil with United Food and Fuel Citgo. You want to unleash your brain's potential? Well, we brought back a great Southern tradition to do just that. Get an ice-cold 20-ounce RC Coke.
We'll be glad to pass that info along. We appreciate everybody's help. You can shop on Sunday from noon till 6 and buy a brand new Toyota at Reinhardt Toyota. You can also go to ReinhardtToyota.com and unlock your special price. Reinhardt Toyota. Buckle up, it's the law. For Montgomery Skywatch Traffic, this is Major Delay.
We are back. Good morning to you. For you guys on the phone, just hold on a second. On the phone with me from somewhere from his palatial palace or something is Stacy Whitehurst, who is is he older than you?
Yes.
Stacy, good morning. Reverend Stacy, as a matter of fact. You know, got a lot of reverends around here these days.
Good morning.
Good morning. You've been listening. Anything you want to add to this conversation this morning? You are the second oldest, or the oldest?
I'm the oldest son.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I just want to say good morning to everyone, and I guess I was listening in on some of the just dealing basically with the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and I just want to reflect back on to this caller, your last caller that you had, what she was saying about certain people in certain positions, and she is absolutely right, because Joe Reed, me and his son actually went to school together.
Mm-hmm.
And he's now, I think he's a probate judge or something like that.
Right, he's a probate judge. Uh-huh.
Yeah, me and him actually went to school together. We went to Cloverdale. So she is definitely right. But, I just want to reflect on something right here while I have a chance. The purpose of the book is to reflect upon the life of our father, Bernard Whitehurst Jr., mm-hmm. and also to give the truth vision of what happened on that evening when he was gunned down by a police officer that turned out to be a cover-up and firing of high-ranking city officials. We are hoping that the city of Montgomery will come forth and compensate our family as they would do if a citizen would take a police officer life. My father's life was taken when we were small toddlers, and we never received a dime. My mother, she lost her husband. My grandmother lost her son. And we lost our father as small kids. Now, it's years later, and I feel like that is the right thing to do. Marcus resolutions are fine,
mm-hmm.
but we deserve financial compensation. We deserve more. We would like for our story to be told just like other stories worldwide. And along with others whose family have suffered a loss at the hands of someone that was being reckless in their behavior and not having to be punished severely
mm-hmm.
for their actions.
Let me ask both of you guys a question, so I got both of you here, because every time this conversation comes up, there's always baggage that somebody says that you guys were offered money, but you turned it down. Is there any truth to that?
No, it's no truth. It's all those just rumors.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So
until
this day, it is September the 5th, at 2018, 43 years later, you guys have not received a dime from anybody.
Nothing.
Okay. Not a dime. Not a dime. Not
okay.
even being offered. We have not even been offered anything.
Wow.
And that's a shame. And that's a shame on the city of Montgomery, because it's supposed to be the birthplace of the civil rights movement. But it shows not going in that direction.
Stacy, you and Bernard, why do you feel that there is, even though everybody knows, Ray Charles knows, everybody knows what happened and how wrong it was, why do you guys feel that we just don't want to compensate your family? Is there a conspiracy with the city and the state? Why is it that I don't normally get into the black and white. Well, yeah, I do every day, so I might as well go there again. A lot of black city councilmen, even though I know they can't make it happen, has anybody ever fought for it that you know of?
Well, what we was told at one time, I can't remember exactly who said it, but they don't want to open up the floodgates.
Well, they shouldn't have started the flood.
Right.
And another thing for us dealing with Joe Reed, when all this was going on back then, I don't understand why he's saying that he can't remember, but I'm pretty sure he can remember that he asked the city for a police review board. That was the reason why.
Sometimes people just get amnesia.
And sometimes amnesia happens, I guess. That's when you get a certain age. Well, listen, the book's going to come out. The name of the book is Close Ranks. And when it gets here, we want to, a matter of fact, the author lives in Montgomery?
Yes.
Well, can you give him my number?
Yeah.
And tell him to give me a call, because we need to, the city of Montgomery needs to come full circle on this.
Yes, it does.
Yes, they need to, because the city of Montgomery, it may look like it's moving forward, but really and truly, it can actually prosper. It actually can prosper way greater than what it is, what the little bit that it's doing now, because they got to realize this is a curse that is on this city that they need to go ahead and handle it right and the correct way.
Absolutely. Well, listen, when the book comes out, y'all make sure you give me a copy up here, and I'll even buy the copy. Yeah, I ain't got no problem with that. Ain't gonna be
well,
too
you
much.
actually can go online.
I mean,
for people that want, they can go online and.
Now, this is going to open up some wounds in Montgomery.
That's what we prepare. Well, that's what we want to do.
We have the lynching memorial just a few yards from where he was killed, so it would be quite appropriate if you would have a stand over there and sell copies of that book to all the people from around the world who come to that center.
Yeah.
If you set up a table, I personally will be there with you. If you want to sit up, and let's tell the story. I'm not selling your story. I'm just saying I stand with you. I'm like Colin Kaepernick on this. Everybody else afraid to take a knee. I'll take a knee with you. That's something to fight for, because I feel for it, because I knew your father. And I hate what happened, and I still can't get over it myself, that we have let it go.
I mean, it angers me, and I wouldn't even.
I'm angry every time I think about it. I'm not going to let it go.
I can't let it go either.
I'm not going to let it go.
There should not ever be a time limit on justice.
No.
Never.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, I appreciate you chiming in. Let's when the book comes out, let's get you guys all back up here again. Let's talk about it. It's going to open up some wounds in Montgomery, Alabama.
Right.
Good morning. Who's this?
They need to be opened up.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good.
I knew the family a long time ago. I guess I don't have much to add. People know more about it than I do, but I happen to know A.T. and also happen to know, I guess it's the fellow's mother that spoke. I mean, cursory, not real well. They lived on O'Connell Street, and it was just a sad time when he got killed.
Mm-hmm.
I also remember Jeremiah Reeves. I played in the band with him, and I was in service at the time when he got electrocuted.
Right.
So things are kind of bad for me. I'm in the city of Montgomery. I've been here all my life, just about.
Yeah.
But
well, until they and it's always going to be a cloud over Montgomery until this gets fixed. Good morning, on air.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering if the gentlemen do they have an attorney? If not, why not? And have they had an opportunity to speak with Councilman Bell and what his position was on that?
I spoke with Bell at one time, and he supposed to got back with me and never did, just like the others. And we don't have an attorney at this time because we just been trying to do stuff on our own, because when you try to reach out to people, they've been told you they're going to help you out and everything, and then when the day of time for you to reach out to them, you don't get no answer or nothing.
Stick with it. I appreciate you, because that's generally the way it is.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you sticking with this. And Donald, thank you for that suggestion that you just made over at the Lynching Museum.
Absolutely.
But I would follow up Councilman Bell. I would keep consistently calling anybody that said that they're going to help you. Then you should just consistently call them.
That's true, and I'm a very consistent person. But when somebody tell you they're going to help you, and I know they done seen your phone calls and your text message.
Yeah. We know. Good morning, you on there. We know.
Good morning, Kevin. How you doing?
Fine.
Good morning to the guests, and good morning.
We feel you.
Good morning.
All right. A couple things I'm gonna slide on up off the air. You had a counterpart that was on that same radio station that said that if the Whitehurst family wanted compensation, we as the citizens should reach in our pockets and donate them some money. And I thought that was kind of cold, And I'm in agreement with Mr. Whitehurst on something he just said. He shouldn't have to beg Fred Bell to be a man of his word. That is the problem right now in Montgomery. And you know what? I say this and I'll slide off. You guys had way too many heavy hitters in positions back then that could have done something. Where were your black preachers at? Where were your black politicians at? This is why I laugh a lot when y'all get to hearing that crap about marching, protesting, and picketing. They didn't do it then, but they'll bark at my generation for not doing it now. This man's father was assassinated. All y'all know it. And y'all were just as silent then as you are now. And when people talk about it, for some reason, black people are afraid of white people 500 years later. The same thing they were scared of then, they're scared of now.
Well, we take a little exception to that, but you're right to your opinion. We'll be back.
Think groceries, gas, clothes, lunch with friends, and your morning coffee. With a Guardian Credit Union Common Sense checking account, the money you need
Together, we can turn things around. Your support to the San Diego Zoo Global Wildlife Conservancy helps support solutions by providing artificial nest boxes, hand-raising chicks for release, and rehabilitating injured penguins. So together, we can repopulate the colonies of our tuxedo-wearing friends. Join us now at endextinction.org.
All right, take a couple more calls, and then we don't have a whole lot of time left. Good morning, on air.
Kevin?
Yes.
That's me?
That's you.
Man, I want to thank you, man, first of all, for trying to help the Bernard Whitehurst family. You've been out there for years, along with people like Roberta Franklin and Reverend Frank, and I like what Donna Jenkins just stated. But I would like to put a challenge out to Willie Knight to get his church family, since he tells people to stop marching and stop protesting and stop trying to get their voices heard. I would like to challenge Willie Knight, who has so much to say, to get his church and get his 34 people and try to do something positive to help Bernard Whitehurst family, besides criticizing people like Fred Baker. Get the new council people that he just pushed and try to help the Whitehurst family. We'll get behind him. Have a good day.
Appreciate it. Good morning, on air.
Good morning, Kevin. I just want to say that I appreciate you having this show. When you put it out on social media yesterday, that's why I sent you that picture.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and this is Ernest Claiborne, by the way, because I made sure that my daughters saw that and they understand the history of Montgomery. So just encourage your guests to keep on pushing and getting it out so people will know about it.
Well, the book's, as a matter of fact,
it's important, and it's part of the history of this city.
Right, and you can actually order the book now through Amazon, and the name of the book again is
Close Ranks.
Close Ranks. Good morning, on air.
Hey, Kevin, is this me?
Yeah, that's you. Quick.
Hello?
Yeah, quickly. Uh-huh.
Oh, hey, Kevin. Just do it.
Just do it.
Let's go back 50 years ago. Jerry Rubin and Colin Kaepernick's parents, probably, being the fact that he's a product of miscegenation, if he hadn't have been, he would not have gotten this far. And what you're talking about this morning, the time might be right for it. And but anyway, Jerry Rubin, the Chicago 7, he coined that phrase 50 years ago. He had a book called Just Do It. And when you open it up, it says, steal this book.
Okay. Appreciate it. Hey, get a last word from Stacy. Sorry about that, Stacy. We lost it. I got about a minute. Stacy? Sorry about that, brother. Got to keep talking. Good morning. You on air.
Kevin.
Yes.
If I just have a minute to straight some facts straight. The crime was the cover-up. Back then, the shooting was not. It was law. There was a trial of the officers you can call William Baxley. He was the attorney general at that time. There was a mistrial. He chose after that he didn't think he could get a thing, that those people that wouldn't take a lie detector were fired.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, the grandmother claimed to be the next of kin. She was offered $100,000, which was a lot of money at that time.
And you know this. Wait, hold. You know this? How about?
Let me just.
Wait, how do you know she was offered $100,000?
I'm just telling you.
I know, but how do you know this?
You can say something else.
I'm just no. How do you know she was offered $100,000? Read what? Well, tell me where it's at.
I would like to know where you read that at.
Okay, can I just finish?
I'm his son. I would like to know where you read.
There was a federal court. They went to federal court on a violation of Judge Barner. It wasn't Fuller. Ruled that his rights ended at his death. Donald Watkins could appeal that if that was an incorrect ruling. But it was
show me. I know, but what we're asking is, show me, give us proof that they were offered $100,000.
You don't even.
Shut up. Good morning. You're on there.
If there was no crime, what did you cover up?
That's you. Quickly.
Oh, real quickly. God, see all, hear all, and know all. Have a good day,
Okay.
my friend.
Right, exactly. If there was no crime,
why was there a cover-up?
Why was there a cover-up?
See, that's a technicality. You did nothing wrong, but you tried to cover it up.
You tried to cover it up.
Okay.
I mean, come
Thank
on.
you.
Why do you go in the evidence room, bring a gun out, and lay it on something? I mean, if there was no crime.
Okay.
Come on,
Be
man.
for real. Be for real, bro.
Ray Charles can see that. Anyway, the name of the book again is Close Rings, and you can pre-order it now on Amazon.
Amazon, Target, and Walmart.
Now I understand this book is probably gonna make some people very uncomfortable. I'm gonna, if you'll come on the air, I'm gonna bring the author of the book up here too. Make sure the book's out first though. That way, and I would assume he's probably had some pressure, some political pressure, unless he's been doing it quietly and nobody knows who it is. Is that what it is? Well, we go. I'm gonna wait till the book come out, and then we gotta get up. Then we gotta get them on the air. But when I go to people, I brought this some years ago. Well, I don't remember.
Right.
I mean, that's like saying you don't remember when your kid was born.
And you know, that's that thing, cognitive dissonance, where you justify wrong. You know it's wrong, but you give a reason to justify the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you cover up not a crime. Be for real, people. Be for
and again,
real. Why would you cover it up? Why would you get a gun? Like you said, from the evidence room.
And again,
because you know you did something wrong.
If money was offered, it wasn't the city of Montgomery.
Right. And
so who offered $100,000? Right. That's all I want to know.
And then there are these rumors that go around.
Because my only understanding, there's only been one trial, and I kind of fought down a little bit going straight to the federal court rather than go. Well, I guess he couldn't go. Well, I guess you couldn't go against Montgomery because then nobody was ever charged with anything.
No.
But except a guy was dead.
It was a civil suit.
Yeah.
He had to go the civil route, federally.
Well, so much for that. Well, Bernard, thank you for coming up and spending time with us. Again, this is going to lay on the conscience of Montgomery until this thing gets some satisfaction one way or the other. And it may take this book coming out. There's going to be some people around Montgomery who just ain't going to be real comfortable. It's going to be kind of hot for them.
Indeed.
Yeah. Now, I don't necessarily read a whole lot of books, but I'm going to read this one. I'm going to read this one. Anyway, our time is up. We thank you for yours.
Thank you for having me.
All right, then. Our time's up. I want to find out who was the Attorney General. I'm not the Attorney General, the DA of Montgomery in 1975 in December. See if I can find it.
Now,
anyway, our time's up. See you guys later.
WSFA 12 News Update on News Radio 1440.
Good morning. I'm Tanya Terry in the newsroom. The Montgomery City Council has approved a more than $252 million budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The City Council approved some changes to the original proposal before voting on the current plan. Among those changes, additional garbage fees to keep pickup to 2 days per week after complaints over a proposition to have pickup reduced to 1 day a week. New this morning, state troopers tell us there were 4 traffic-related deaths over the Labor Day weekend. The deadly crashes happened in Baldwin, Barber, Colbert, and St. Clair counties. Troopers say of those killed, 1 was a passenger, 2 were drivers, and 1 was a bicyclist. And in international news this morning, about 3,000 passengers stranded by a typhoon overnight at an offshore Japanese airport have begun returning by boat and bus over a partially damaged bridge to the mainland. We're told more than 1 million households there remain without power Wednesday morning. That's the news for now. I'm Tanya Terry for WSFA 12 News.
The Rush Limbaugh Show, weekdays beginning at 11 a.m. on News Radio 1440, WLWI AM, Montgomery, a Cumulus.